Hi, I'm Jason Cabrita, and this is my remote sensing final project. So the long-term goal of this project is to create a full 3D point map of the entire university campus, one target at a time. My selected target was a picnic table outside the computer labs on the lower level of Martin Hall. I selected this target because it has interesting geometry. It consists of two separate materials, wood and metal. It's in an open location that gives me access to all sides, and it's isolated from the road, and I also believed it to be isolated from other ambient lighting. In order to scan the target, I utilized active remote sensing techniques, wherein my device transmitted radiation into the environment, and data was gathered based on that radiation's interactions with the environment, as opposed to passive sensing, which utilizes ambient radiation. For this case, our transmitter was a 5 milliwatt line laser, and the receiver was a Raspberry Pi camera. In addition, computer vision techniques were utilized in software in order to isolate the laser and gather range data. My sensing device consists of the previously mentioned laser and camera, of course, a Raspberry Pi, which is powering both the camera and the laser. The Pi is in turn powered by an external battery. Not pictured here is my cell phone, which was used to measure IMU angle during scanning. All the components are attached to a 3D printed chassis via combination of tape and zip ties, and all of that is in turn mounted to a tripod. Because the distance between the transmitter and receiver is fixed by the chassis, and the angle of the field of view of the camera is much larger than the angle of divergence of a single laser beam, as the distance between the target that the laser reflects off of changes, the point appears to move laterally to the camera. Based on this and the known geometric factors, range measurements can be taken, as was done with a beam laser for calibration purposes. In the field, the Pi was controlled remotely through my laptop using SSH over the school's Wi-Fi. Scans were taken orthogonal to each side of the target from the bottom up in increments of roughly 1 degree. 2 scans were taken per side due to the overall length of the target, making it troublesome to try to capture the entire thing in a single scan. Additionally, a scan was taken of the top surfaces because they were horizontal, and scanning orthogonally to them didn't capture them well. I encountered issues with ambient light from the full-length windows on one side of the building, which are lit up very brightly 24/7, and I was unable to have turned off. They caused issues when scanning, looking at them, at the side that looked at them. The images would become washed out because of all the light. To combat this, I bought tarps and strung them up over the windows in order to obstruct some of the light. Unfortunately, they went up several stories, and I was only able to block the first floor. Once all the images had been taken from all sides, they were brought into Color Picker to select a suitable HSV mask for each separate scan to be able to isolate the laser from the rest of the image. Then, using these HSV values for each data set, our data generation code is able to go through each scan image, isolate the laser, and using the known geometric quantities previously found, convert the XY pixel coordinates into 3D XYZ points and print those points out to a text file. So each of those 3D point clouds, the text files, are brought in to MATLAB, where each side can be plotted independently, in which case you get plots that look oops, like these. And there's a lot of noise in them. So before I combined all of them, what I did was filter out that noise, just using some basic boundary conditions based on if points were way outside the expected range and clearly didn't belong. And that gave cleaner plots for the individual sides. You can see here. So once each side was filtered, they were all stitched together using linear translations mostly, manipulating the sides so that they aligned. A few required rotation also. And the final point cloud looks like this. It should be noted that the bench and tabletop surface are repeated data sets over and over again. I didn't scan them fully because they're just flat surfaces. But overall, the point cloud looks good. You can see all three surfaces, the legs and middle supports are fairly well defined. There's still some noise that couldn't be avoided, and there's some warping on the edge of the table here and on the edge of the bench here, but overall it matches up fairly well with the target. Importing the full point cloud into MeshLab, you can see it here, it's the same as the one from MATLAB. We're able to attempt to generate a 3D surface mesh of the target based on the point cloud. So first we generate normal vectors, and they look like a mess here, so I'm going to hide them to make this look nicer. And then based on those normals, we're able to generate a mesh. Unfortunately, because of all the empty space in my target, I don't think it's very conducive to surface meshing. Perhaps different meshing techniques might have better results. This is the best I've gotten, where you can see some detail from the side, which is where the mesh looks like it approached from. But if you look from the top, there's nothing there. And on the other side, it's pretty sparse as well. So overall, I don't think that meshing is the route to go to display this information. Overall, I'm fairly pleased with my final result. My point cloud matches up with my target fairly well, and it certainly resembles the table. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this class and this project as a whole. So, thank you for watching, and special thanks to Dr. Mitchell for making such a great class.